The following video is one in a series on spiritual resilience training, a non-religious view of personal values and their dynamics with others. The contents reflect a variety of principles and practices of systems theory in relational counseling for team building and family resilience. Although the series is intended to support Army Corps values, each video also encourages the viewer to reflect on their current prominent values in specific situations and to consider what values may be more appropriate to means and results that are honorable and helpful with others. Chaplain Dillard initiates creating and posting these videos. Their contents and YouTube's linked videos do not necessarily reflect specific beliefs, practices, requirements, or endorsements of the Department of Defense, its subordinate organizations, or other groups with which Chaplain Dillard is affiliated.
Welcome back. Today we're going to look at a spectrum of management styles, some perspectives on what that means, where they came from, and also choices, because all of us are in some form of leadership. We're all in some position where we have responsibility over others, whether you're a parent, a supervisor, a coach, a mentor, a role model in your neighborhood, an older brother or sister. You are in some position of responsibility over other people, or you will be. And we need to understand that there are different styles of management. Some are appropriate, some are not so appropriate, some are extreme. And if we understand the history of where those come from, how they play out, then we're better informed and equipped to make choices that are appropriate for the person in the situation. Let's go ahead and get started and we'll take a look. There are basically two different types of leadership styles or approaches: the avoiding disposition and the attacking disposition. Both of these come from a history of difficult personal relationships. Shouldn't be any surprise to us. All of us have had difficult relationships in the past. Now, what do I mean by difficult? Typically, that is in the one of two camps: difficulty in conflict resolution. There was no way, no model, no example, no training, no intentionality of how to deal with conflict in appropriate ways. Either folks just attacked each other or they avoided each other. And depending on how that played out, the person will probably lean more one way or the other. For example, if that person has a history of gains for being more passive and a history of losses for being more aggressive in the context of their family growing up, close relationships, early work experiences, difficult relationships, whatever, they're probably going to have more of a disposition toward avoidance. However, on the other side, if they have a history of gains for aggression and a history of losses for being more passive, then they're probably going to be more of an aggressive, attacking personality. Now, that's on a spectrum. That is from subtle to extreme. A lot of that depends on what we see next. Do they have a focus on themselves out of fear or pride? Somebody who is fearful generally is avoidant and they retreat, but not always. Sometimes they're so fearful they see everyone else as a potential threat to them, and they will attack problems or even the other people in their mind as a way to protect themselves. That's fear. A person who is fearful needs to be encouraged in healthy relationships, ways to do things effectively. That person needs help. Somebody who is proud really needs to be confronted with consequences. Very different motivation, very different approach, and that doesn't mean that we get up in the face of somebody who's proud. That's very counterproductive, because they'll just bite back, they'll fight back. But we take a different approach with somebody who thinks they're the bomb, and the reason they're avoiding is because they just focus on themselves and their work, and they want to show how great they are, or they're always getting in everybody else's face. I'm going to show you the right way to do it because it's only my way or the highway. Could be the same manifestation of avoidance or attacking, but depends on whether it's coming from fear or pride. That makes a very big difference. Now, following that, if they have an extreme orientation to people, they often become an avoider of conflict because they are a people pleaser. They want people to like them, so they have a very difficult time managing conflict. On the other hand, if they have an extreme orientation to tasks, then they overlook the importance of relationship, and they think they're attacking the problem, but the other people really know, in essence, they're attacking the people, because they're not considering the people more than just tools toward the task. If they've never had any mentoring in one-on-one conflict resolution, that really makes it difficult for them to do anything other than avoid, because that's an ongoing struggle for them. If they've never had any if they've never had any mentoring in the importance of team cohesion, then they don't know how to gel a team. All they know is how to analyze problems and do tasks. That is simply a lack of training, especially in the context of a one-on-one mentoring relationship, not a course, not a 40-hour training program, but a leader who is mentoring them over years. And it's never too late to start that or receive that. Now, what makes it intensify to real dysfunction is when they are currently still in difficult relationships. If their spouse or their kids or the people that they hang out with are also avoiders or attackers, that's going to exacerbate who they are at work. If they have an avoidant leader over them, they're going to be even more avoidant, because there's a parallel process from what you as a work member are receiving or not receiving and what they're not receiving above them. Same thing on the other side of micromanagement. If they have an attacking leader over them, then they're more likely to attack you as well. Now, there's not always a one-for-one correlation. Somebody who has an avoidant leader can be an attacker because they're so aggravated they're not getting guidance, they take it out on the team just out of sheer frustration. Or somebody who has an attacking boss can be very avoidant because they don't want the team to see that they're not taking that relationship with the boss very well. So this is not a methodology. These are some basic insights. Also, intensifying dysfunction is if that leader has too little authority over the team, they're more likely to avoid, because in their mind they're thinking, what difference can I make anyway? I'll sit in my office and I'll do my work. On the other hand, if they have too much authority over the team and there's no checks and balances on them, it's very easy for them to be an attacker, because who's watching anyway? They are the big dog in the room and the only big dog. Lastly, if they have a high competence in their duties, it's easier for them to be avoidant because they figure, well, I'm good at my job, at least I can do my work well. If they have low competency in their work, it's easier to focus on other people's job, because if they can somehow micromanage you, maybe their work will get done better because you work for them anyway. Does that make some sense? I said this is on a spectrum. I've already alluded to avoidance and attacking, and I've even used the term micromanagement, but there really are kind of 5 different styles, maybe more. We're going to break it into 5 chunks of how this manifests itself in management. Working from the far left, there is the absent manager, the hands-off manager, the assertive manager, and the micromanager. I know that's only 4. We're going to come to the 5th one in a little bit. And let's see how they compare to each other in some different categories. The absent manager says there's no particular way to do things. Hands-off says, well, you do it your way. The assertive manager, we're going to do it our way. And the micromanager, of course, says, it's my way. The absent manager directs no work at all. The hands-off manager probably directs some, and the assertive guy or gal directs much or more. The micromanager directs all of the work. The absent manager is unavailable to discuss any options. The hands-off manager is less willing to discuss options, but they're a little willing. The assertive manager is more willing to discuss options, and the micromanager is completely unwilling to discuss any options at all. The absent manager neglects details of others' work. The hands-off manager notices, the assertive manager watches, but the micromanager controls the details of others' work. The absent manager neglects training, discipline, or rewards. The hands-off person might do these. The assertive guy will probably do these. The micromanager restricts training because that's time away from work. That's not getting the job done. That's preparing to do the job, and they simply demand success. The absent manager and the micromanager have higher turnover on their team. The hands-off manager and the assertive manager have lower turnover on their team. I mentioned that there are 5. It says at the top of the screen that there are 5. That is the person in the middle. That is the true leader. Because a manager really kind of maintains the status quo. A leader moves the team beyond where they are to a better future, and a leader flexes for the vision. Meaning it's not about the leader, it's not even about the team. It's about that very clear picture of the better future. Where do we want the team to be? What does it mean to look proficient? What does it mean to be cohesive? What does it mean to not just get the job done, but be growing in every aspect of why we exist as a team? So then it's not about individuals, it's about that better future that we're all working together to move toward. So if it's that logical, if we can kind of put it in black and white, and I've tried to do that in just a few minutes here, why the continued disconnect between leaders and their teams, or managers and their teams? Well, there's some specific reasons. Managers tend to struggle to do one of two things well. Receive poor performance. That's generally the micromanager. Nobody likes to receive poor performance from their team members, but a micromanager can't tolerate it, cannot tolerate failure, freaks them out because it's a zero-tolerance environment. Or the absent manager may struggle to give negative feedback. Remember, they typically don't do conflict resolution very well. And because of their personal struggles to deal with those realities, and poor performance is a reality on any team. Even all-star sports team have occasional failures. You simply have to be able to deal with it. And all teams' leaders need to receive, need to receive feedback from their leaders. So these are simple realities, but not all managers can do them well, which exacerbates us to one extreme or the other. Employees also, and when I say employees, I'm talking primarily about work, but this can be family members, this can be your baseball team, this can be anybody that is organized to work together toward a particular function. The team members will say also struggle to do one or two things well, and that is maintain a self-image in front of that micromanager. If they give negative feedback, do we still have a sense of value and self-worth to ourselves and in front of the team? If you're comfortable in your skin, it doesn't matter what somebody else says to you. You can take, as I like to say, you can eat the chicken and spit out the bones and keep going. But not everybody can do that. The second thing employees or team members may struggle with is seeking feedback from the absent manager, looking for that person who's supposed to be there, whether it's calling them, emailing them, going to their office, and saying, hey, I need some guidance. I need you to tell me what the priorities are for today, because I know they're different than they were last month. Not everybody can do that. This disconnect between the manager and the team widens as each reinforces a dance. Take a look at this. The micromanager degrades the team's work, which in their mind cues the need for more micromanagement. The absent manager overstimulates the team to do work, which cues more absentee management. Now, why is that? Because they can't get guidance, because they're working frantically. Something's got to get done. We've got to make up our own priorities. And they become so hyper-vigilant that the job is getting done, but they're also wasting a lot of time. They're being not terribly efficient. They're doing things they don't need to do in addition to the things they do need to do. But there's a dance there that keeps the whole cycle going. These cycles focus on each other rather than the goals of work and cohesion. And what we need to do is the leaders and the teams must focus on the vision, a clearer picture of the better future. That is so essential that we understand vision, that there is a well-defined purpose of the team that everybody can articulate, that everybody knows what it is, so that we have a common denominator that we're working for. We have a common operating picture that helps us know which direction to move, helps us say no to some things, delegate other things, wait on other things, drop some things because they don't really belong to us. But that helps bring everybody together, leader and team, and not make it so much about individual personalities. And then some of those personality extremes begin to lessen and become more productive toward the team. The next 4 videos will be some suggestions or recommendations for the team members and the leaders who struggle with micromanagement or absentee management. Ways to work toward the vision, ways to build cohesion, ways to have better and appropriate conflict resolution so that everybody is working together toward that better future, that vision. Hope to see you then. Hope you're finding these helpful.
At the release date of this video, I am stationed with Research Development and Engineering Command, RDECOM, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Because the majority of our personnel are in this area, I spend most of my time here. I do, however, travel to our distant units based on command priorities and budget. I place these videos on YouTube for broad visibility to Army personnel and their families, but I hope the videos will be helpful to others too. If you are assigned to RDECOM and want to request specific topics by video, training on site or by VTC, or confidential counseling on site or by secure webcam, you can contact me at jeffrey.d.dillard.mil@mail.mil.